All right, let's get right into it. We're going to break down a science-backed system that will completely change how you study. And look, this isn't about working harder. It's about finally learning how to make what you study actually stick for life.
You know the feeling, right? We've all been there. You pull an all-nighter, you feel like you've got it down, and then you sit in that exam, and your mind just goes blank. The information has just vanished. It is so frustrating. But here's the thing. What if I told you the problem isn't you? It's not your memory. You're not bad at studying. The real problem is the method you're using. And the good news? That's something we can fix. We can fix it right now.
So, step 1. It's all about prepping your brain for what's about to come. Think of it like warming up before you hit the gym, but, for your mind. This is called preview and connection, and there's some really cool science here. You're essentially activating what are called schemas, all the stuff you already know that's related to the topic. When you do this, new information has something to latch onto. It's not just floating in space, and that makes it way easier for your brain to process. So how do you actually do it? Super simple. Before you start reading word for word, just scan the material. Look at the big headings, check out any pictures or graphs, and then ask yourself a few quick questions. Okay, what's this generally about? Does this connect to anything I've seen before? And maybe most importantly, where would this be used in the real world? And this really gets to the heart of it. The goal isn't just to let your eyes pass over the words on a page. It's to build a mental framework first. Because your brain doesn't just remember what it sees. It remembers what it truly understands. Okay, next up, we have got to respect our brain's natural limits. You can't just pour an entire library of information in there and expect it all to stick. It just doesn't work that way. This is where a technique called chunking comes in, and it's a total game changer. Think of your working memory as your brain's RAM. It can only handle like 4 to 7 things at once. That's it. So chunking is just the simple idea of grouping big loads of information into smaller, bite-sized, meaningful pieces. So instead of trying to read a 20-page chapter all in one sitting, which, let's be honest, is a recipe for zoning out, you break it down. You find, say, 5 main ideas in that chapter, and then you just focus on 3 or 4 key points for each one. That's it. Just remember this little mantra. Your brain doesn't like volume. It loves structure. Give it a clear, organized map, and it will absorb information like a sponge. All right, this next step, no joke, this is probably the most powerful part of the entire system. It's time for the recall revolution. Active recall is all about pulling information out of your brain instead of just passively shoving it in. See, every single time you force yourself to remember something, you are literally strengthening the wiring to that memory. It's called the testing effect, and study after study shows it blows rereading your notes out of the water. It's not even close. And the best part is, it's so simple to do. When you finish a chunk of material, you just close the book. Seriously, close it, don't peek. Then you ask yourself that one simple question. What did I just learn? And then you have to, either by writing or speaking out loud, explain it in detail from memory. And there are a few awesome ways to do this. You've got the blurting method, where you just dump everything you remember onto a page. Or the Feynman technique, where you pretend you're explaining it to a kid. Or, a really easy one, is the question method. Just turn the headings of your chapter into questions and try to answer them. This all leads to a really profound idea. We think learning is about input. Reading, watching, listening. But that's wrong. True, long-lasting memory isn't built by input. It is built by output. So now that we know how to actually build these memories, how do we make sure they, stick around for good? Well, one of the best tricks is visualization. Our brains are absolute superstars at remembering images, but they're kind of terrible at remembering abstract words. So turn those boring concepts into vivid pictures in your head. And don't be afraid to make them exaggerated or funny or totally weird. The crazier the image, the more it will stick. The second key here is spaced repetition. You know how you learn something and by the next day it's already getting fuzzy? That's a natural process called the forgetting curve. Spaced repetition is how you fight it. By reviewing information at specific, increasing intervals, you're telling your brain, hey, pay attention, this is important. And your brain responds by locking it into long-term memory. I think this phrase just captures it perfectly. Cramming, or simple repetition, makes something feel familiar for a little while, but it's the spacing that makes that knowledge permanent. Okay, and now for maybe the most overlooked, yet absolutely essential part of learning. Let's talk about your secret weapon,
Sleep.
See, when you're sleeping, your brain is not just off. It is hard at work. It's running a process called memory consolidation. It's like a tiny librarian working the night shift, taking all the things you learned today and carefully filing them away from your messy short-term memory into the organized long-term library.
So you have to reframe how you think about this. Sleep isn't just rest. It's not wasted time. It is active, critical memory processing. Pulling an all-nighter to study more is honestly one of the worst things you can do for your memory. Okay, so let's put this all together. What does this actually look like on a daily basis? This is the system you can literally start using tonight.
So here's your new study flow. You start with a quick 5-minute preview to warm up your brain, then a focused session, just 30 or 40 minutes on one single chunk. Immediately after, you spend 5 to 10 minutes doing active recall. While you're doing that, try to visualize the key ideas. Schedule a quick review for the next day, and then the final step, lock it all in with 6 to 8 hours of solid sleep.
And I want to leave you with this one last thought because it's so important. Having big goals is fantastic, but goals aren't what gets you there. Your results are a product of your daily habits. It's the system you use day in and day out that actually matters. Because in the end, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems.